work today. Christ is saying to idlers in the marketplace, go work today in my vineyard. Angels who minister to those who shall be heirs of salvation are saying to every true saint, there is work for you to do. Go stand and speak to the people all the words of this life. If those addressed would obey this injunction, the Lord would prepare the way before them, putting them in possession of means whereby they could go. If they did no more, they could diffuse the knowledge which they already have and present Jesus as the only mediator. The tidings of every successful effort on their part to dispel darkness and to diffuse the light and the knowledge of God and Jesus Christ whom He has sent is borne upward. The act is presented before all the heavenly intelligences and thrills through all the principalities and powers, enlisting the sympathy of all heavenly beings. There is great work yet to be accomplished in all the fields from which we have heard reports. All through these countries there is precious talent that God will use, and we must be wide awake to secure it. When Christ was teaching on earth, He watched the countenances of His hearers, and the kindling eye, the animated expression, told Him in a moment when one assented to the truth. Even so should the teachers of the people now study the countenances of their hearers. There is a mighty power in the truth. It is God's plan that all who embrace it shall become missionaries. Not only men, but women and even children can engage in this work. None are excused. All have an influence, and that influence should be wholly for the Master. Jesus has bought the race with His blood. We are His, and we have no right to say, I will not do this or that, but we should inquire, Lord, what wilt Thou have me to do? And do it with a cheerful, willing heart. Oh, that everyone would kindle his taper from the divine altar. If Christ has given you light, let it shine to others. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. Will you not begin from this time to work upon the Bible plan, and live to do your neighbor good, to be a blessing to those around you? If we walk in the light, our wisdom will increase day by day. We should know more of the truth tomorrow than we know today. We cannot afford to be dwarfs in Bible knowledge or in the religious life, but we should grow up unto the full stature of men and women in Christ Jesus. Heaven is full of light and strength, and we can draw from it if we will. God is waiting to pour His blessing upon us as soon as we draw nigh to Him, and by living faith, grasp His promises. I am deeply exercised in regard to our present position, realizing how far down we are in prophetic history, so near the close of time, and so much work undone that must be accomplished to prepare a people to stand in the great day of the Lord. The end of all things is at hand. Our time to work is short, and there is a world to be warned. There is need of more thorough missionary work. The calls are urgent for more labors, but where are the light bearers to the world? God has sent the truth to our doors, but are we doing all in our power to send it to the dark corners of the earth? You should have that undying zeal, that far-reaching love that encircles the world. There are hundreds of millions of men, women, and children who have never heard the truth, and multitudes are constantly going down to the grave without any sense of their accountability to God. How can you lift up your hands before God and ask His blessings upon yourselves and your families when you are doing so little to help others? Our ideas are altogether too narrow. God calls for continual advancement in the work of diffusing light. We must study improved ways and means of reaching the people. We need to hear with ears of faith the mighty captain of the Lord's host saying, "Go forward." We must act, and God will not fail us. He will do His part when we in faith do ours. Brethren and sisters who have been long in the truth, you have not done the work God calls upon you to do. Where is your love for souls? Seventh-day Adventists are making progress, doubling their numbers, establishing missions, and unfurling the banner of truth in the dark places of the earth. And yet the work moves far more slowly than God would have it. The members of the church are not individually aroused to put forth the earnest effort they are capable of making, and every branch of the work is crippled by the lack of fervent piety and devoted, humble, God-fearing laborers. Where are the soldiers of the cross of Christ? Let all the God-fearing, the honest, the single-hearted, who look steadfastly to the glory of God, prepare themselves for the battle against error. The interest and labors of the church must be extended more earnestly and decidedly to both home and foreign missions. Those who have been successful in using their talents to secure earthly treasures should now employ these capabilities to advance God's cause and build up His kingdom. Their tact and ability, sanctified to God, will be accepted, and He will make it effective in the grand work of turning men from error to truth. There should be deep heart searching with our young men and women to see if they have not a work to do for the Master. There is a work to be accomplished which money cannot do. Destitute fields must be supplied with earnest laborers, with those whose hearts are warm with the love of Christ and with love for souls. All who enter the missionary field will have hardships and trials to endure. They will find hard work and plenty of it. But those of the right stamp of character will persevere under difficulties, discouragements, and privations, holding firmly to the arm of the Lord. They will show a zeal that will not flag, a faith that will not yield, a resolution that will not weaken. They are doing no more than God requires. When they dedicate themselves, soul, body, and spirit to His service, becoming partakers with Christ in His sufferings, if they share His self-denial and cross-bearing, they will be partakers also in His joy, the joy of seeing souls saved through their instrumentality in the kingdom of glory. I feel deeply over the little burden many carry for the missionary work in the foreign fields and in the home missions, and there are thousands who might enter the harvest field who are now religiously idle, and as a result go crippling their way to heaven, expressing their doubt whether they are Christians. Their need is a vital union with Jesus Christ. Then it can be said of them, "Ye are laborers together with God." I want to say to many, you are waiting for someone to carry you to the vineyard and set you to work, or to bring the vineyard to you, that you will experience no inconvenience in labor. You will wait in vain. If you will lift up your eyes, you will see the harvest ripe, ready for the sickle. Whichever way you may look, you will find work close by and far off. What then is the duty of every enlightened soul? Let those who truly love God step out from where there are large churches of Sabbath keepers, and the cause they knew not be searched out. There is work to be done by every branch that has a vital union with the living vine. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit. Oh, that those whom the Lord has blessed with the treasures of truth would awake and say from the heart, Lord, what wilt thou have me to do? Light is increasing to enlighten every soul who will diffuse the light to others. God will have his witnesses. What can be done to make every believer feel that the heavenly intelligences are working for the consecration of the human living agents to carry the truth of God where it is not known? Unbelief, like the pall of death, is surrounding our churches because they do not exercise the talents God has given them by imparting the light to those who know not the precious truth. The Lord calls for the pardoned soul, those who rejoiced in the light, to make known the truth to others. The living agents are needed to communicate the light of truth, and the results will be those who are now ignorant of the truth will, through the grace of Christ, become precious in the sight of the Lord and will exert an influence to the glory of God. Where are the missionaries? Has not the truth for this time power to steer the souls of those who claim to believe it? When there is a call to labor, why should there be so many voices to say, I pray thee, have me excused? There is great need of workers, and there are many ways in which they can labor. There is work for those in the higher as well as in the more humble positions. But we want none to come out to this field who have not a high sense of what it means to be a missionary.